Hey there, I'm Talia, founder of Workweek Lunch, where we are all about helping you master meal prep to get more out of life. And today we are going to make broccoli cheddar soup from the Workweek Lunch Cookbook, which is out. This soup has been requested so many times, and it was one of the first things I did for the cookbook, so I just knew it had to go in the book. And we're going to, it's one pot. It's not freezer friendly. I learned this the hard way. Do not freeze this soup. It's vegetarian. It has very simple ingredients, and it's so cozy, comforting, delicious. It reheats well, and I just can't wait for you to make it and try it. You can grab the book in the description. In this recipe, we're using 2% milk, regular flour, which you can use gluten-free flour, by the way, and you can use non-dairy milk if you'd like. We're using crushed red pepper flakes and ground mustard. Of course, if there are any spices you like, you can toss them right in. We're using broccoli, of course, about 2 heads there. Butter, again, you can use non-dairy butter if you need to. A block of cheddar cheese, and by the way, you can just use pre-shredded cheese. I decided to shred it myself, but up to you. And carrots. Garlic and onions, of course, are good friends. And that's it. The soup is very, very simple. So first, we're just going to prep all the ingredients, chopping up the broccoli and carrots. You want to chop the broccoli pretty small. Think about, what you would fit onto a spoon, what's easy for you to just eat, because the broccoli is kind of floating around in the soup. Same with the carrots. And feel free to use as much garlic as you want. I'm using 3 cloves here, but again, you can use 6, 12, 20 cloves of garlic. I mean, it is up to you. Shredding the cheese here, again, you can use pre-shredded. This does take a lot of work, and it's easier if the cheese is all really cold. So once everything is chopped, we can go ahead and make our soup. Okay, to make the soup, we're using a Le Creuset Dutch oven. You can use a big pot, whatever you have that is good for soup. Olive oil, onions, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt and water as the onions cook. I add water to the pot if the pot looks dry, just in case, you don't want anything sticking. And of course, we're gonna add some butter to make the roux, which, by the way, you can just add, you can use olive oil instead of butter. You just need something that's like fat, to make the roux. So I'm adding flour here. This makes the soup thicken, right? So you don't wanna skip this step. Otherwise, you're just kind of gonna have like a milk soup. That does not sound good. This is much better than that, promise. That's more salt going in the pot. And then once that's cooked down, we're going to add the ground mustard and the vegetables and some water. So we're adding water to the pot, kind of building the soup. You can see it's already thickening a little bit. By the way, you can totally use broth. I didn't have any, but I think veggie broth or chicken broth would be much better than water. Now we're gonna add the vegetables. Once these are cooked, we can again, the soup is so easy. All you have to do is cook down a little bit, then we add the milk and the cheese, and we're done. Got some nice bright green broccoli in there and lots of steam. Now we can add the milk. So a lot of broccoli and cheddar soup recipes call for heavy cream, but I personally struggle to use up all of my heavy cream, so I like to just use milk because I usually have that in the fridge. I don't have to buy an extra ingredient, and it works just fine. So I'm incorporating it. You don't want to bring this to a really rapid boil because the milk can curdle, and then we're gonna add the cheese. But you wanna make sure that the heat is up a little bit so it incorporates and thickens even more. And the cheese has to melt. So you wanna make sure there's a little bit of heat under the pot there. At this point, you want to make sure that you're tasting the soup before you commit. You might want to add more salt, more crushed red pepper, other spices in there, you know, before you decide this is it, this is what I want to eat. And I'm adding even more, I'm just going for it with the cheese. And there is the final product. So this soup can last in the fridge for up to 5 days. And once again, it is not freezer friendly. The soup will break if you freeze it and reheat it because of the dairy. So just keep that in mind when you make this. If you can't get to it all, you might want to share it with a friend. And I'm enjoying the soup with crispy, crunchy, fresh bread that I got from a cafe down the street. So that kind of also makes it, I don't skip the bread. I mean, you can also make croutons, I guess, for this soup. But I think that just dipping some bread in there, is anything better than that? I honestly just loved this for lunch. It made me feel so satisfied. It's so cozy. It's such an easy recipe to make. All you need is like 25 minutes to make this recipe. You know, this recipe is in the cookbook. It's also in the description below. We're linking it on the blog. But you know, we have lots of recipes like this in the cookbook if that's your jam. So go grab it, and yeah, hope you try this recipe.